I'm talking today to James Bryden. James is Managing Director of CLPM Limited. Hi, James.
Hi there, how are you doing?
All right, thank you. James, in your expert opinion, what knowledge do self-builders lack?
I think the sort of the obvious answer to that is the technical knowledge of the construction process. So when you're building a new home, obviously they're quite complex and getting ever more complex construction and the technology that goes into them. So that tends to be the main area where obviously people lack, and you wouldn't expect a self-builder to have that knowledge. So I think, and on the back of that, I think the recommendation is that people include in their professional team somebody all the way through the process who can support them with a bit of knowledge, so you're not completely beholden to the contractors on site, and there's somebody supporting you as the client in giving you sort of independent advice, be that an architect, designer, engineer, project manager, somebody, a professional who is batting your side of the fence.
In your experience, what's the biggest mistake self-builders make?
I think there's probably two on my list there that come quite close to the top. One is the amount of time input from the client that it requires. Even if there are only one or two contractors being employed on the site, there's still a lot of decisions to make by the client, and there's quite a few sort of moving parts to the project. So it can be really quite time hungry, any project that a self-builder takes on. And the other one that is common is that the budget at the beginning of a project that clients talk about is understanding that there is a lot of things potentially they have not considered. So there's a budget for doing the construction of, say, the house, and then there's all sorts of peripheral items, be it connection of the water mains, the electricity, be it a party wall award, be it a building warranty, be it getting the SAP calculations done. And so there's all these little bits and pieces, but unfortunately quite often people tend to focus on the building itself and say, well, we've got X £100,000 to build the house. And then you go, well, have you thought about the landscaping, the driveway, all this sort of thing? And they go, oh, ouch. And suddenly 20% of the budget has disappeared into other elements. So the specification of the house suddenly gets reduced. So I think those would be the two immediate ones that spring to mind.
That's great, James. Thanks for your time.
That's great. Thank you.
Today I'm talking to James Bryden. James is Managing Director of CLPM Limited. Hi, James.
Hi there.
Hi. In your expert opinion, what mistake do most renovators make?
I think on renovation, it is having a clear design for the finished product. When you're opening up old buildings and things like that, you need to have a clear plan of what you're going to put into it to minimise the amount of damage or work you're going to do to the existing structure. If you're going to change things halfway through, the repercussions in going back and making the alterations can be really quite substantial. So I think having a comprehensive design all the way down to knowing sort of your furniture layouts, because that then, once you've got your furniture layouts, you can then start to understand where all your electrical points go, and it all sort of work backwards from there. Knowing all as much detail as you can up front really, really helps, and I think that's one key thing where we get a lot of people go, well, we know roughly the shape of the building we want, or the shape of the extension, or how we want to relocate the rooms, but the detail in there is often lacking, and that can have a huge impact on the cost and so the overall options on the project.
And what is the one thing that renovators can't do without?
I'm going to slightly repeat myself, but I think it really does come down to the design again. But to get that design, I think some professional support, again, architect, project manager, somebody along those lines who can steer you through the options to say, and a common one we often get is, I would like underfloor heating throughout the ground floor. And the implications of that are potentially quite substantial. So understanding the implications of that, having somebody on board that can clearly explain the options and how much they are potentially going to cost, even to give a rough idea of the cost before you go down that line, I think is probably the most important thing. So I think having some professional support is the key answer to that, to give you a comprehensive design. And once you have a comprehensive design, people can then give you accurate prices as well. So it helps in the whole scheme of things.
And based on your experience, what's the number one piece of advice that you could give?
Spend more time, money and effort than you think sensible getting that design right, because it makes everybody's life easier.
That's brilliant, James. Thanks for your advice.
Okay, thank you.
Stop.